You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast, here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Thad, and joining me is my co-host, Chrissie. Chrissie, how are you today?
This wind reminds me of a Michigan winter. Sucks.
Nice. Also joined with us today is Abby Sommer of the First Flight podcast. Welcome back to Infinite Diversity, Abby. Uh-oh, I think Abby may have been taken by the Gorn.
I realized this week I can make a Gorn sound, which could be good come Halloween. So, thanks for having me, as always. I always enjoy talking to you.
Well, we enjoy having you on. Especially in Gorn.
I don't know if I could do Strange New Worlds Gorn, but I can do, like, TOS Gorn.
No, that's pretty good.
Before we jump into our topic for the day, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make our show possible, particularly our associate producers, Chrissie DeClercq-Zalagi and Justin Oser. Listeners, you can hear your name listed as one of our associate producers for a monthly subscription of just $10 at patreon.com/BQN. And with a monthly Patreon subscription of just $5, you can join our Meetings of the Hive Mind on the second Saturday of each month. Watch your Patreon messages for details. Alright, so this week we talked about, or I should say we are about to talk about, Strange New Worlds, All Those Who Wander, the penultimate episode of Season 1. So, Abby, what were your first thoughts of this episode?
Well, first of all, I have to say, when I was done watching it, I looked at my husband and went, I have to talk about this one? Because it was a lot. And I have to say, I'm not a horror fan in general. It's probably my least favorite genre out there. I don't really particularly enjoy being scared. I don't want a jump scare. I still jump scare at movies that I've seen 100 times and know it's coming and talk myself into. But at the same time, at the end, my heart was feeling kind of full and I was crying. So this one was an interesting balance for me and different than a lot of the other Strange New Worlds. So I'm excited to get into it with you guys.
Yeah, definitely a different take. Chrissie, what did you think?
Yeah, Trek does not usually do horror well. The only really good one that I could think of was Genesis. I'm sure I'm missing one somewhere. I feel like
Schisms.
Oh, Schisms is good, and
Empok Nor is good.
Yeah, okay.
Macrocosm also.
Oh, Macrocosm.
I never thought of those horror. Yeah, of course that's horror. Yeah. Okay, see, I opened my mouth to say that, and boom. But Genesis really sticks in my head, because it was like, I saw that where they used to show Next Gen on Monday nights at 10 o'clock.
Oh,
you know,
that's when I saw it too.
Yeah. And then it was on like Saturdays at 7, but I'd always try to catch it on Monday, but like I didn't have school the next day for some reason, but everybody else in the house had gone to bed, and I was just sitting there in my dad's recliner watching it, and then Spider Berkeley. And I'm like, I couldn't sleep. It wasn't good.
I had the same experience. I completely remember that.
I also remember being terrified of Genesis as a kid. Like, oddly though, it has always been one of my favorite TNG episodes.
Oh, I
since
love
I first
it.
saw it. I love it so much. The science is terrible, but it's still an excellent episode. I love it. Shout out to Gates McFadden as that being her single directorial credit in Star Trek.
Yes, and an excellent job. Anyway, so yeah, so we don't usually expect to see horror in Trek. This one, as horror goes, I think was fantastic. I mean, I'm not much of a horror person. Jay loves horror. Like, all of the horror that I've seen is basically because he has been like, you got to see this thing. So, but yeah, so it starts out and he's like, oh, this is like The Thing, because it was in winter. And then that didn't quite turn out the way we were thinking. But then very Alien, bits of Predator with the little, like the what's the word I'm looking for? The heat signature vision. And then Jurassic Park. Like Jurassic Park, yeah. Which I rarely think of as horror, but it has that element.
I mean, it is. Yeah, you don't think of Jurassic Park as horror, and it only has some horror elements. It's more, it's much more of an action movie than a horror movie. Yeah. But yes, definitely feels that way. I was very much feeling like Alien. I am not a huge horror person either, but I have seen the Alien movies, and because while I'm not a huge horror fan, I am a huge sci-fi fan, so when the two combine, I still usually watch them. So I've seen things like Event Horizon and Alien and other things that just, make you not want to fall asleep. I don't mind the horror. I think it's done well. I don't necessarily think that we needed to turn the Gorn into xenomorphs. But, I guess technically there's nothing that we know of the Gorn from before that precludes the fact that that this is how their young are incubated, is inside other people.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to talk a lot about the Gorn and, this whole chunk.
I think I would have liked it better if it was not the Gorn, personally. If you kept this alien-esque story, but it wasn't the Gorn. I can see, I guess once they reach a certain stage of development, they turn into more,
sentient,
intelligent style, sentient people. But it just seems hard to reconcile these as Gorn children compared to the Gorn adults that we know what they are. I'm not saying they need to be dressed up in obvious suits like the 60s, but
as animalistic as young humans can be. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because you are down to instinct and all of that. I feel like you can reconcile a young human to a human adult as this is an intelligent creature beyond instinct.
Right.
The Gorn, that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, the Gorn appeared to be operating entirely on instinct.
It was a pack of velociraptors. Yeah. Or, and the Spitty, the Dilophosaurus. But,
yeah. That's nasty. Yeah. Especially in this age of COVID, the idea of getting, covered in something that came out of another creature's mouth or nose, you're just like, this is double disgusting now.
I bet there's some good outtakes for that we'll see on the Blu-ray set, because when they were filming this was all of that. But yeah, I can't reconcile the idea that you have a clutch of eggs or whatever, and they all have to vie for dominance, and then somehow the one that turns out on top is going to enter a society that somehow got into space.
Right.
It just didn't.
But here, so they were talking, when they dissected the Gorn, and they were talking about all the little cells and the genetic changes, and there was a word there that I can't remember that Mbenga says, but he was saying genetic developments, something like that. So here's me going, okay, so this is the beginning of this enemy that we know. It's going to get fleshed out. People are all like, oh, soulless minions. Well, so were the Borg at the beginning. We have many seasons that they might be fleshing this out and doing all this. But then I was thinking, okay, so this is me, humongous Enterprise fan over here. Maybe the Gorn, being as highly intelligent as they are, maybe these are Gorn augments. Maybe the Gorn do genetic manipulation. We've talked about that a zillion times this season in Strange New Worlds. So maybe they have started developing in their babies this quick development and this chameleon-like sensor evading. And they have designed them to have the babies just physically mature so rapidly, and then they said they only sporadically come and get them. So they have called themselves to be the top of the top right there. So whenever the Gorn come back to the breeding planets, whoever's left there is the best of the best. They pull them into society, get them, teach them language, teach them how to be. And I'm guessing it's a very structured and you don't make a lot of mistakes or you get eaten society. But if they're that intelligent and they've been genetically designed to do this, and perhaps that's another reason why they can spit and put eggs in people now. It's a genetic, well, okay, venom sacky egg, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
they can goo on you and you can suddenly have eggs in you because perhaps they genetically, that's not better. That's not better.
No, that was perfect.
All right. They can somehow make you a breeding sack. Maybe that's what this is all going to come around to in later seasons, because we know that they were planning on multiple seasons ahead of time. Maybe this is a bigger arc to connect into all this genetic stuff that they're doing in this first part of the season. Maybe this is me just being insanely positive and coming up with a headcanon that I like because I like Enterprise. But I mean, we saw Klingon augments, so maybe the Gorn did the same thing, and there's a difference. And then maybe things even go wrong, and that's why they kind of go back in TOS for a little bit. Maybe they tweaked the wrong gene, and they no longer have some of the abilities. I mean, because there's a lot of story that could go that way. And if it doesn't go that way, somebody just got a great fanfic idea.
There you go.
I'm trying for the writers
thought
here.
about that.
All right, so genetic engineering actually is pretty much the only way I can reconcile the whole insemination by spitting. So, yeah, okay. Because I'm like looking at that thinking, that doesn't seem plausible. Like, even slightly.
But when you see through, like, the Gorn vision with, like, the eyes and everything, it almost looks like they have augmentation already in them. So maybe that's part of what I went to. I watched it again and I was like, wait a minute. This almost looks like night vision goggles, but it's from the Gorn's perspective. So maybe it is a genetic engineering thing. And I mean, it's another really good way to get rid of your enemy, because even if you don't get them the first time around, all you got to do is goo them. And they're going down in the next couple weeks. They're not around long term. So it's not the worst strategy. It's gross, but
yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way.
It also seems odd to me that the Gorn children are reproducing. Like, I would have assumed that would be something that you only do once you hit puberty. But whatever Gorn puberty is. But I mean, that's me assuming that all species work the same way as humans, and that's not necessarily accurate. It could be that only the children reproduce.
Yeah. Some insects are born pregnant too. So I mean,
just like tribbles.
Yeah, exactly, like tribbles too. So I mean, there is real science behind that too. So maybe
I mean, for all we know, it's only at this stage in their life that the Gorn reproduce.
Right.
Maybe the adult Gorn that are, having intelligent conversations and flying spaceships don't have sex.
They're done with that.
Yeah.
Neither do the hatchlings, apparently.
Well, okay, but you know what I mean.
Well, they don't seem like the type to cuddle.
Is that black widow spiders that do that, lay the eggs? Yeah. If we're talking about asexual reproduction here, which I think we have to assume,
yeah.
All bets are off. So it's still weird though.
Yes.
Because like I could see something like that evolving within the species, like with the spiders. Okay. But at what point did they figure out, I'm going to spit on this other species and it's going to work just as well. Oh, and by the way, depending on which species I spit on, it might take a month to gestate or
it might take a few hours. Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Because apparently Andorians, it only takes a few hours.
Yeah.
What happens if they spit on a Gorn?
I would think that's how the whole thing started, so that's just normal.
Okay.
Big thoughts. Like I said, I'm still hoping that this is like our first couple episodes of introduction to the Gorn, and they're planning a larger story that will make them more than just faceless monsters, that will give them a little more nuance.
The other question is, all right, so if a Gorn gestates for a few hours in an Andorian, or a human for a few days, or an Orion for a few weeks, or a whatever Buckley was for even longer, apparently, do the Gorn that come out of that body, are they different than the Gorn that come out of a different species?
That's what I wondered, too.
Yep. Like the xenomorphs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, do, like, the human Gorns have human characteristics and whatnot?
That might explain the difference.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe you do have animalistic Gorn, and you do have more sentient Gorn, depending on how they are produced and what they feed on while they're gestating.
Okay, but the ones they were fighting on the ship came out of Buckley, and Buckley was clearly sentient, but these Gorn were not.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I wonder too, like, okay, so they come out of different host bodies. Do they have different characteristics, and also do they have different maturity cycles? Like, does the fact that their eggs were in an Andorian versus their eggs were in like a Betazoid or whatever, are they going to, we were born at the same time ish, or we developed slowly? And there's a lot of things we don't know, but that doesn't mean that the answers are bad. It just means we don't know them yet. And then I love Trek with all my heart, but this is one of those moments where everyone goes, and I'm like, if we had this discussion about some of the other races that we now love, before we had the whole picture, we would have this same conversation. So let's think that these people who have been writing and doing Trek recently, this might seem like a misstep, and we could look back on it in a couple years and go, we didn't know what we didn't know, just like they said in this episode. So I have a feeling that this is going to age differently than it feels right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Everybody remembered the Borg babies.
Yeah.
And the impression that we got that the Borg were actually reproducing instead of just assimilating babies. So, yeah. I don't disagree at all. This is going to have an explanation, or at least it's going to make sense in some way.
Yeah, so, we go beyond that. Like, the gestation cycle's different, but also, like, how much of the host do they have? Like, if a Gorn is born in a Vulcan, do they go through Pon farr? I mean...
One would hope not. That could be ugly. Ooh.
The other thing that kind of confuses me. All right, so they are able to hide themselves from scanners. I can kind of accept that. Not really, but I can kind of. Regardless, though, I can also understand not being able to detect them in a species like Buckley because they aren't familiar with this species. They don't know what the norm is supposed to be. But if Gorn are gestating in a human, even if you can't detect the Gorn hatchlings themselves, I would think the medical scans of the human would reveal that there's something going on inside there.
Yeah.
Even if you can't see the Gorn, you would be able to see that, like, things are moving around.
Yeah, there's a big unscannable space in your abdomen.
Right.
Ugh.
Right. What's his face in the end of Spaceballs?
Yeah.
Which I know was taken from Alien, but I can't.
Yes. Hello, my honey. Hello, my darling.
Yeah, I think what bothered me was that there was this, like, that sudden realization of, oh, that's how they're laying the eggs. I did get the impression that wasn't a piece of information they had before, because otherwise, as soon as he'd been spit on, they would have put Hemmer, in a force field or in one of those boxes or something.
Right. The way La'an said it, it almost sounded like she knew this ahead of time, but I think she was just putting that together and just said it that way.
I think her face shows that.
Yeah.
But, like, she said it as a statement, not as so that's why I'm like, yeah, but you wouldn't, if anyone, La'an, being the security officer, would have absolutely, the minute Hemmer said he'd been spit on, would have been like, yo. Yeah.
Please.
Maybe it is like sexual reproduction. It's only sometimes. Also, you get spit on no matter what. Yeah.
Sometimes the goose sticks, and sometimes it doesn't.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Life finds a way. I was waiting for a time to say that in this episode.
So yeah, apparently the gestation is incredibly fast in Andorians, or at least in Enar, because they said it's days in humans, but I mean it was only a couple hours between when he was spit on and when he felt like he was about to, So, wow. I wonder if it's metabolism based. Like,
I was thinking that too, because
do the Enar and Andorians have a higher metabolism because they live on a cold planet, so they need to keep warm?
That's what I thought.
Yep.
And that would also, because that was the only way they could really do it in the way that Hemmer would have to sacrifice himself, because it was the slow gestation like humans. Then they could say, oh, we'll take you back to the ship, we'll put you in stasis, or apparently the transporter buffer, because that's how we handle things on the Enterprise, and we'll find a cure, but there clearly wasn't time for that here.
Yeah, that bothered me.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was happening too fast. There wasn't gonna be time, especially because they wouldn't at that point have even known for sure when the ship was gonna be back to pick them up.
True.
I am very much going to miss Hemmer. I love the character. But I do feel like this death was earned a lot more than, say, Arium in Discovery from season 2. Because we actually got character for development from Hemmer throughout the season, and I think it all tied together with the way, especially with the things that the lessons he had been teaching Uhura throughout the season. I think it all worked really well and gave us a very well-written emotional end for the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot along those same lines too. I loved Hemmer. I squealed the first time I saw the preview and he was in there. I was like, look at these Enterprise connections popping up everywhere. It was amazing. And I wanted to know so much more. I've always wanted to know so much more about the Andorians and the Aenar, and partly because, Enterprise has a special place in my heart, but he was so well done in the little bits that we saw him. And it's funny because there's been rumors that I've been hearing for a long time that someone's going to die this season, someone you care about, someone that's big. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not fair, because we already know that like 70% of these people end up in TOS in some way. So you really narrowed it down. The cloud of Trek in the world has said, well, Hemmer was supposed to be in a couple more scenes, but he had COVID, and I don't know, and I can't find confirmation of this. So this is just the scuttlebutt. He had COVID, so they wrote him out of a couple of the episodes. He was only in a few scenes. They changed it up. They had to keep production. Yeah.
I mean, that's possible. That's not why they killed him, though.
Yeah. Well, and somebody else said, perhaps since he knew he was going to be a one-season character, perhaps that's why he signed on to do a character that requires the extensive makeup that it does too. And I mean, we know that Trek makeup can be a trial for people, and you either can handle it or you really don't like it. And perhaps that was one of the carrots they dangled to get this particular actor to take the role of, hey, guess what? We're going to keep you in Trek for a while, because he said he's not done with Trek in general, but you don't have to do this makeup forever. And so that's been out there too. But man, I have to say, I wish we had gotten so much more. I still wish somehow we get more Aenar, Andorian, all this backstory in there. But I didn't think about any of the problems of his death while I was watching it the first time. All I did was feel. And that was what they were intending. So I feel like I really wish he hadn't died. But if he had to die, this was a good way to go out. They did it well. They gave him what he deserved. So I guess.
Well, it was like he said himself. Yeah. He's dying to protect those he cares about. What better way to do it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now Bruce Horrick has in an interview said that he the actor at least will be returning to Star Trek, so that's good. Don't know whether that means like Hemmer flashbacks, but it might mean that he's playing a different character altogether. He might be playing, Hemmer's twin brother Gemmer. Who knows?
Oh, please. I want that. But he's not an engineer, like he's part of the medical staff or something.
That'd be great.
He works in the bar.
There you go.
The exact opposite.
No, I don't want him to be an engineer, because I want this to mean that we get Montgomery Scott.
Yes. Although I'm kind of, I don't know, but
maybe.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't we talk about that?
I don't want the final episode of this series to be Where No Man Has Gone Before. And I know Scotty wasn't in that, but you know what I mean.
Actually, he was.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. He wasn't in the cage, but he was in Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Oh, you know what? I was thinking of McCoy. McCoy isn't in Where No Man's Gone Before.
Correct.
Right. Anyway, but point being, I don't want this to all... I know it is a prequel. I know it is leading up to that, but I would like to see some people we haven't met, as well as see other characters fleshed out. So it's like, yeah, I do want to see Scotty, but maybe I don't want to see him in season 2. So
That's kind of how I feel, too.
I don't know. I felt that it's a foregone conclusion that the series is going to end with a shot of Kirk on the bridge with the crew that we know.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. But maybe it's just the speed. You know, it's the whole thing of, like, we know that Kirk is showing up next season. And I feel like that's a little too soon. So maybe that's it.
Could be.
Yeah.
For me.
I would like this cast to have room to breathe without feeling like there is always an endpoint coming down and saying, you know, there's 10 years for us to play in, and we're going to end it here. And you feel that, like, you're incrementally inching closer, which in a way is good and in a way is not. But I agree with Chrissy. I don't want it to come too fast because I have loved this season. And let's slowly ease our way in there. Maybe we could get actual 10 years of this, and I would not cry if it's as good as it has been. So, yeah, let's get there eventually. Give time for all the stories.
I doubt we'll get 10 years. I'm guessing we'll probably get 3.
8. Oh. Well, 8 at most, because if you figure there's a year between when Kirk takes the Enterprise and when Pike, when Spock goes and gets Pike.
Also, like, based on timeline, based on the dates established in Star Trek lore, it's actually closer to 7 or 8 years. They've said 10 years a couple times, and they can obviously fudge that, so that's fine. But also, who says a season has to be a year? So
that too.
Seasons could go longer. We could get 8, 10 years, 10 seasons of Strange New Worlds. I doubt it. I think we're probably going to get 3, maybe 5.
Ugh.
That hurts my heart. I know it's okay. I was thinking 5-ish, but if this becomes
5-year mission.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was going with. But if this becomes the show that's really drawing people, whereas Discovery can still be very polarizing, they might say, well, guess what? We're stretching you out because you're what's bringing the subscribers. And we know that a lot of this, while we have some future already set, we know that a lot of this depends on who signs up and who stays on and all that jazz. So everybody keeps showing up.
Yeah, if they want to keep making... I want them to keep making Star Trek.
Me too.
Forever. So, yeah, it can have as many seasons as they want it to have, as long as they
Yes. Caveat.
And that's the thing, too, is, like, if Scotty shows up, I think that would be great. I thought it would be great if Scotty showed up when, you know, Hemmer was still there. Just, he can't possibly be chief engineer yet. You know.
Right.
Let's get to know him a little bit. So.
Yeah, and I mean, we know that the shows have had no qualms with contradicting the novels when it suits their story, but the novel, The Enterprise War, by John Jackson Miller, which is about the Pike's Enterprise just prior to season 2 of Discovery, does have Scotty as a junior engineer in engineering.
Yeah. And actually, there's nothing to say he isn't there now.
So he could already be on the ship for all we know. Yeah.
One other thing before we get away from Hemmer. His jumping off the cliff killed him. Okay. Likely. I mean, it'd be really terrible if it hadn't. That didn't necessarily kill the Gorn. There could be some Gorn running around on this planet.
No,
especially if
it's too cold.
No, because the cold kills them.
Okay, but...
That's why they went outside in the first place. Yeah.
No, I get that. I get that. But we haven't established if the entity in which they're gestating has any effect on their metabolism and how they function. We
I hadn't thought about that. Cold weather Gorn.
He's just made cold weather Gorn. Oh, man, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. So... totally logical, but he needed to vaporize himself instead of Yeah. I know that's really...
It kills the
really
dramatic
terrible,
moment,
and I
but
don't
it
mean
would
to
have
be
been
terrible.
smarter. You're right.
Yeah.
But it was a really good dramatic moment. I love
it
that
was.
shot.
Gods, yes. Yeah. So I mean, that's highly, highly, highly unlikely. But just putting
But
it out
also, speaking of the cold killing the Gorn, just think of the terrible luck for the crew of the Peregrine. That they succeed in getting the Gorn outside to
there.
kill the Gorn, and then they get trapped in a storm and all die themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we're just going to chalk it up to plot point, right? That had to happen for the plot, but dang, that's bad luck.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they said that's Mbenga thought that's what happened.
So some of them had been ripped, but not had been ripped up as if
Yeah.
by animals, and we assume Gorn, but not all of them had.
Right.
Some of them had also appeared to have died of exposure, and if the Gorn had gotten them, it would have been obvious that they had been,
Well, there was a few.
savaged. Yeah.
Because we had that pullback with all the...
Right.
That
but
reminded me of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
The one scene.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So certainly
I
the Gorn killed some of them, and probably in a weird way. I wonder if the Gorn were killing them to try to stay warm.
I was
Were
just...
the Gorn using them like tauntauns?
yeah.
Yes, I was just about to
yeah.
say that.
Wampa attack.
But some of them didn't. So I think what happened is, yes, some of them died, but some of them, if they hadn't been stuck in the storm, probably would have been able to get back to the ship.
Yeah.
That is some really rough luck.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminded me of... Have either of you read The Children's Blizzard? Are you familiar with the event? Oh, okay. Did either of you read the Little House books in the Long
Yes.
Winter? Okay. Same year, but in reality circumstances. And I'll say there's this wonderful book called The Children's Blizzard. Wonderful in that it explains it well. It's terrible events, but they called it The Children's Blizzard in part because it hit at a time when it wasn't expected. And this would be the winter of 1887, 88. And it was one of those early blizzards. If you've read Long Winter, the ones that hit very early in the story, and a lot of children were trying to get home from school, and it is kind of like what Lauren Goes Wilder describes about, if we had been 3 feet that way, we would have missed the edge of the schoolhouse or the edge of the
house.
the last building on the block when they're trying to get home, and so it made me think of that, and yeah.
So can I just say that I was thinking after I watched this episode a couple times, if I was one of the characters in this episode, I'm totally Chapel. I'm the one freaking out, trying to keep it together with my eyes wide, getting handed like something and being like, do this, and be like, okay, I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to step with any kind of footfall right now. Like, I empathized with her so hard in the scary parts of this, because that would have been me if I could have even pried myself off that bio bed outside of the force field. So, I've always joked that I love Starfleet, but I don't know that I could actually hack it because I'm not that kind of brave. But, wahoo, I have to say, I really appreciated them putting someone in there who wasn't just calm and collected and wasn't reacting to fear with anger like we see Sam Kirk doing. And
like
we have the unflappable Pike who's just like, all right guys, let's not yell, let's just do this. I appreciated seeing someone who was just legit, no, I'm scared out of my wits and I have no idea what to do, please help me, because that would have been me in this situation.
Yeah, it was a great way to show how different people react to stress and fear, and I think that worked well. I think I probably would be very much like Sam Kirk in this situation, honestly. I would be useless.
Useless and angry.
Yeah, I did love that Chapel was like under the force field. Like, that was genius.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah. Of course, then I'm like, well, why didn't you put the guy in the force field? But
well, they didn't know.
Okay. Yeah. I guess. I don't know. I looked at that and I'm
obviously, yes. Because I think watching it, we all knew what was about to happen when he was sick. Like, oh, yeah, he's going to hatch those eggs. We all knew that. So it is interesting why none of them thought that.
Oriana did.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but Oriana didn't say anything.
I know, she could
just
have.
hid.
She could have been like, I think he's going to hatch. But I get that too. I mean, I work with kids. I understand when kids are scared, the first thing is get safe. And that's exactly what she did. It was the most little kid move ever. But you do kind of, and it would also probably have really stopped this episode. Like, it would have been like, oh, look, there's some Gordon in a force field, and we're done. So, again, plot device, but...
I also, in the very beginning, when they're like celebrating and they said, "Oh, we're gonna take Duke and Chia on and Uhura on one last mission," I'm like, "Oh,
two of you are dead, and guess which ones?"
Yeah, I'm guessing the ones that aren't part of the main cast aren't gonna make it out of this. And yep. Ironically, being that they were yellow and blue shirts and Uhura was
I
the
thought
red
that
shirt.
too.
True.
I also thought it was kind of funny that at the end, when we see the funeral, all three of their pictures are there, but they're so red-shirted that we leave that funeral before we hear anything else about them, too. And so it's like, wow, not only are you the red shirts here, we're not even going to do it. We're not even going to mention your name at the funeral. Here's your pictures. Yeah. And I know it's because we followed Spock out, but it was kind of funny to me. I think that was a little inside joke for all of us.
Yeah, I think it was too. I was trying to think. I think this is the first actual like serious red shirt in that we meet somebody and then they die in Strange New Worlds.
I think so.
Yeah, which I think is kind of funny in a weird way. Maybe not funny, but yeah.
Well, what's funny, I watched with my husband, and we're watching, and I was like, oh, look, they're not even talking. Like, they're not even saying anything. They're reacting to the compliments or the promotion, but they're not talking. That means they're really dead. And then on the planet, they both got lines, and he looked at me, he goes, they're talking. I'm like, all right, they just paid him a little more, but they're still dead. So, it's funny how you pick up on those things.
Oh, yeah.
I did appreciate that we have some Starfleet people that aren't perfect sticks in girdles too. I mean, we were getting some of that with Tilly and a little bit of that, but I'm liking the diversity of body size as somebody who would not look good in spandex. So
Yes, as a non-svelte person, I liked seeing Lieutenant Duke.
Yeah, I like that. Non-svelte. I like that.
Well, as a chesty woman, I have appreciated seeing this version of Uhura, who is also a chestier woman, and how they have to change the darting and the costuming to accommodate that, because that's one of the reasons that I do a lot of t-shirts and not uniforms, because they just don't fit. So I appreciate them tailoring to those different body types as well.
Yeah.
So did anyone else... when Spock leaves the funeral because he's being emotional, and he and Chapel were talking, I actually, for a brief second, thought maybe he was about to go into Ponfar, and this was going to be like
I thought they were going to kiss, but I didn't think it was going to be take her up against the wall.
I didn't necessarily know like right then, but I thought maybe that's what was happening. That's why he was emotional. Maybe it was like coinciding with his Ponfar. I mean, it wasn't.
I gotcha. Okay. All of the context in that he was feeling out of control. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I didn't think that, but I really appreciated the subtleness of her noticing the clenched fists, because that's what I do when I'm upset and I can't verbalize it because of whatever reason. I am totally a jaw and fist clencher, and you could see her picking up on those. And I really, while I don't want them to actually consummate anything, because I feel like that would besmirch Spock in a way that I'm not sure he'd come back from, I like that they are giving this a real relationship. They have real...
I think they will, actually.
I think they will too, but I don't want them to.
Right.
Well, we know the actress who plays T'Pring is already listed on IMDb as being back for a bunch of episodes next season. So this is not a plot line that's going away. This is not a relationship that I want to go away. And this is just me personally and my life experiences going, please don't. Please. But they're going to. I mean, the writing is on the wall. The fist punch is there. Like, they're going to. But I appreciate them also showing that they have a real and true deep friendship, enough for her to notice little things like that with him that changes so much TOS because of it. And I like that. It's deeper, it's more enriching. And this is not really an episode about the two of them, but they always find moments, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate them showing the friendship part of it being paramount for both of them over anything else that might be there, because you have friends like that. I mean, this is who you're going to call if it's the middle of the night and you did something stupid or you ended up in a situation. They're going to show up. Like, this is that kind of friend, and you don't get a lot of those in your life. So I appreciate them really seeking each other out and looking out for each other already. They have realized that there is a bond there, and I appreciate Strange New Worlds exploring that, and for her to continually be pushing him to be true to himself, whatever that takes, and that she'll be there for him even when that figuring it out gets ugly. That's a good relationship.
Yeah. It does make it seem more, though, that she was bringing him the soup to help him with the pond fire, though.
Oh, probably.
All right, can we talk for a second about how awesome the Gorn puppets are and the fact that they're puppets? Which, okay, so nerddom here is Star Trek and Muppets. That would be my two nerddoms. So I could tell that they were puppets simply because I spend a lot of time in puppetry and watching and learning and doing that behind the scenes. But it was so well done. And I felt like these Gorn felt more alive than CGI could have done because it was a human responding in there. And the only CGI in this was taking out the people who were doing the Gorn, the rods and the people that you could see.
Cool.
There was
that's
no
really
other
cool.
CGI in this. And there's a little featurette on it that when you do decide to watch it, or they'll put it up on the Paramount Plus YouTube channel later this week, watch. It's so cool. And there's multiple sizes of them, and how they just were so fluid. And I want to give all the credit to the people who did that puppeteering in those weird, horrible, awkward spaces that those sets made them do that puppeteering in, and how lifelike and incredible and how creepy it was, because sometimes it's hard to make puppets creepy. Like, we've all seen that not work, but this worked. And so bravo to everybody below the frame or around the edge of the frame that we couldn't see for doing that, because they will probably never get the credit they deserve for making that part of the episode as incredibly cool as it was. Because no matter what you think about the Gorn in Strange New Worlds, they look fantastic. Like, ignore all the rest of our Gorn.
I didn't even realize they were puppets until you
That's how
mentioned
good.
Yeah, I'm glad you were
it
on for
did
this
look
so that
great.
we knew about that.
I honestly was thinking, wow, they did a really good job with the CG this week. But yeah, the puppets makes perfect sense. Because at the end of the day, that is one of the ways you can get the best realistic movement is to actually have something on screen moving.
Well, and when they jump on their necks and shoulders and stuff, you feel it. You react differently. And that's part of one of the reasons that they did it. And there's an awesome picture if anybody wants to go and look at a baby Gorn not looking as creepy. Dan Gillette, who plays Sam Kirk, did a post on his Twitter. It says, "Say hello to my little friend." And there's a baby Gorn perched on his shoulder. And he's got this radiant smile. And it looks like the baby Gorn is smiling too. So go look for that, because it was the highlight of my day the other day.
That's fantastic.
Bruce Horick on Instagram did a picture of the Gorn, baby Gorn on his shoulder, and it was Proud
There
Daddy.
you go. That dark humor.
See? One of them survived. There you go. That's next season.
Oh, goodness.
In thinking about this in the context of the similarities to Jurassic Park, that's one of the reasons the original Jurassic Park holds up so well.
Oh, yeah.
It was because it was, 99% practical effects. So, so kudos on that, That's awesome.
And it doesn't age poorly like some other CGI does. When you have a puppet, the puppet's going to look just as good 30 years down the road, no matter what computers can do now. And it costs more, it takes more time, it's more labor intensive, but it's worth it. So shout out to all my puppeteers out there. Love you guys too.
CG, usually CG 10, 15 years later tends not to look good.
No.
Looking at you, Star Wars prequels.
I was thinking the same thing, Thad.
Quidditch game in Harry Potter, in the first Harry Potter movie. Yeah.
Now, speaking of the actors on social media, I very much liked that Noah Averbach-Katz tweeted out to tagging Bruce Horrick saying that I feel you, because obviously he also played character from Andoria, who
one season wonder,
killed far too soon. So I thought that was great.
Well, speaking of connections to other series, one of the things that I really liked about this episode that I wanted to bring up is I feel like the first and the last shot of this episode were connections to other series. Like that first shot where they come into Pike's table and they go through all the food. I don't know if anyone listening to you guys listens to the pod that I do, First Flight, about Enterprise, but we talk about the food on Enterprise all the time because there's heaps of it. And I love that Strange New Worlds is doing the same thing. They're finding the communal eating time as a time for plot exposition and character growth and all that. But the fact that we leave that out, and the fact that wow, I would love to go to Pike's for some sort of meal because it seems like he makes the best food in the entire universe. But I love that they zoomed in close and they're using the rambutan and the dragon fruit and the weird like alien looking stuff. But then in there, as always, there's a kiwi and a strawberry. They did that at Enterprise all the time. I'm like, they even talk about it in 2 Days and 2 Nights that it's a kiwi and a strawberry like that on Earth. And I'm like, no, it's just a kiwi and a strawberry. They did it again. It is the tiniest little detail, but I was looking for it.
And that's got to be a reference.
Oh, it's 100%.
It's so specific that it couldn't possibly.
Oh yeah, that's
100%. And I'm sitting there squealing, and I'm like, there are about 3 dozen people in the world who are going to get this first pass, and I was one of them. But
yeah,
it was beautiful. And then the last scene where you see Uhura just looking at her console on the bridge like that, that's your TOS connection. It was like you're doing the timeline of Star Trek in this episode, and I loved those little bookend shots like that. It was such a nice treat for those of us who know all those nitpicky details, and I love that New Trek does that. It is very honoring of all of our obsessiveness for these decades and appreciative of it, and it's those kind of things that you find in Strange New Worlds all over the place, and I couldn't talk about this one without bringing that up. And you will never now not notice the kiwi and the strawberry if they're in there, just to let you know. Sorry.
I love how much food is in that. And I love that you brought that up, and because the idea of food being so important, like that's an important part of everybody's lives, but it is a social aspect for me in my own life. So, like, getting together, breaking bread with people. My mother's full-blood first-generation Italian, so food,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah. Oh, yeah. So, not that other cultures don't, but that's a stereotype, and I'll go with it for this case. But yeah, the idea that there is this emphasis... Well, emphasis isn't the right word. There is an attention paid to it. And it's not just, we're going to go get our, chicken sandwich and coffee because it allows for a joke about the Tribbles. It actually is a point of connection. And I love that Pike's doing the cooking. I know we got that with Cisco, but I like seeing that continued. We have seen more men cooking on Trek than women, I think, overall. If that's not the case, the listeners will correct me.
Yeah, because we also had Riker attempting to cook on TNG.
He's only as good as his ingredients. I'm going to say that was the eggs. But, yeah, so I love that. And I love the thing with the dishes,
Yeah. I think it's a good way of showing that you have a male authority figure who is also nurturing. When you feed people, that's a form of nurturing. That's a form of taking care of the people you care about. And a lot of times, both our current ideas of masculinity plus the fact that he's the boss makes that something that he wants to do, but it's hard to do. But you can never object to feeding people. Like that is common ground for almost every species that we've come across in Trek. So I think it's a nice way of showing those people in charge. And I mean, it's happened in the schools that I've worked at. Principals have said, "Oh, come have lunch with me. Let's have a chat." And then you kind of want to be there. So it's a nice way of making yourself approachable and being seen in a different light. And he runs a less formal command than we've seen otherwise. I mean, he calls people by their first names on the bridge sometimes. So this is in character, and I think it's a good way to show that he genuinely cares about his crew in many ways. And he looks like a really good chef. So I'll just take it. I just want to keep watching the food.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody write a fan fiction of him on British Baking or Top Chef or something.
I'm sure it probably already exists.
Oh, I'm sure it does too.
We need an addendum to the
someone
cookbook.
direct me to it then.
So the Strange New Worlds chapter.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a new edition. Mm-hmm. I like it. I like that a lot.
So I think the other main story that we need to talk about for this week is Uhura. She had been made up her mind that she was going to be leaving. Not sure if she was saying leaving Starfleet altogether, but certainly not doing the space mission thing.
Yeah.
And Hemmer was telling her that she's doing that because she's afraid, because she's making connections, and she likes making friends, but she doesn't want to be hurt. And I think that's all of us. And I like how, because Hemmer had already been shown as her mentor for the in the show, and I really like the dynamic between the two of them.
Me too.
Yeah, I love when she says, "Yeah, another win for Team Hemuru."
Yes,
That's so good.
And I think. Yeah, she ends up saying that she's going to stay, and I think that's pretty obviously, at least to me, she's doing that in memory of Hemmer, in reaction to what Hemmer told her, and I think that's pretty cool too. Now, does that mean she's back on the Enterprise next season, or not?
There's always a room on the Enterprise for Nyota
right,
Uhura.
But does Nyota Uhura get to decide to go back to the Enterprise?
Jump the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think Pike can put in a request for whoever he wants.
That's true.
So that's.
Would you say no to that hair?
No.
Or the rest of him? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine myself saying no to Captain Pike. This is correct. In pretty much any instance.
Any capacity.
Yeah.
No, but I think to myself, I love this relationship. This is what a true mentor and mentee should be. It's back and forthing. It's got, the job is primary, but you're learning other things as well as you're learning what you're doing. And that's what a true mentor should be, because it's teaching you how to do the skill, and it's teaching you how to be with the other people who are doing it. And when he talks about the people that you love are going to hurt you the most, but it's worth it. I mean, that's a lesson that I think most people, by the time they hit the age that we all are, have kind of figured out. But it's not one that's bad to hear over and over again, and to remind yourself. And I think that's going to be a powerful thing for new and younger viewers to have explicitly put out there, because it's a hard lesson, and to hear and see it modeled in good ways and positive ways is a nice thing to see, because it isn't always in today's media. So I really appreciated this relationship, and I was crying like a baby at the end when she's watching him through the window and she says please twice and her voice cracks. I was done. That was so beautifully done between them that I wish we had more of this relationship, and I wouldn't be upset by a few flashbacks, but I think that's probably not happening.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he said he's coming back, so we'll see whether that means as Hemmer in flashbacks or not. But yeah, maybe we'll get the identical twin brother. Who knows?
Shax, his brother Rax or something. I don't remember what we were saying.
Well, I mean, we already
before.
On Star Trek, we already had Torek and Torek on TNG and his identical twin brother Vorik on Voyager.
Why not?
So,
hey, but real people, as someone who teaches kids, I know plenty of twins who've been named one letter different than each other in real life, so that could be out there.
And it doesn't have
Andorian tradition.
Doesn't have to be twins. He could be 5 years younger or 5 years
Brothers.
older, or whatever.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Because especially with that makeup, he doesn't have to be twin. They can really change that up a bit.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about La'an taking off before this last
yeah.
episode? So one of the things I wanted to say about it is that I enjoy that Strange New Worlds and modern Trek in general is dealing with the reality that the likelihood of having a set of people in a job for a long period of time doesn't really happen. Like,
Right.
I mean, maybe in family businesses and stuff, but otherwise turnover in jobs is normal. Turnover in something like Starfleet is normal. You get promotions, you move, you go, people leave, people come. That's a reality. Now, we don't like it because we've grown to love these characters and we want more of them, like thinking about Tilly and Discovery, but that's reality. And then finding someone else to fill in and the nuances of that, and, you know, not necessarily liking the replacement or wishing that they were back or, you know, just getting used to new people, that is reality. And I appreciate New Trek doing that as much as I don't appreciate losing characters I love. But I think it also is giving us an opportunity, and I know La'an is back. Like, we know this, so I'm not so worried about it. But I like that they are giving us the opportunities to get more characters that we love in because people rotate out. And I think it also gives you the opportunity to get some actors that you might not have otherwise. If you say this doesn't have to be an indefinite commitment, like give us a chunk and we'll get you through, and maybe if you want some more you can or not. I think that it's a smart move these days, especially with seasons being as short as they are. You can get a diversity of actors in that way and a diversity in your characters. And as much as I don't like it, again, I understand it and I think it's better in the long run.
Yeah.
I think it is more realistic, certainly. That's always been sort of at the back of my head when I think about, like, the TOS and TNG films. Like, how realistic is it that these crews are still together, especially from one ship to another?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Looking at you, First Contact.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Do we have any other big story beats that we haven't mentioned yet? I think we've covered most everything.
Yeah, I mean, Mbenga called the girl his daughter.
Oh, yes. Mbenga's Freudian slip there. I mean, I think that was a good way to show that Mbenga is clearly still dealing with what happened last week, which makes perfect sense.
I'm still dealing
right,
with it.
exactly.
That was just, oh my God. I hugged my babies the next morning and I'm like, I love you. And they're like, yeah, what's wrong with you, Mom? And I'm like, nothing.
Don't go away and live in a nebula.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, but they'll name it after you, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'd rather just be able to hug him. But thanks, I appreciate the honorific. But I have to say, my favorite Mbenga part, my favorite Mbenga part with this is back at the breakfast table where he's just in the corner when they're cleaning up and he's just chowing waffles and he's throwing out these little like one-liners, and I appreciated that because again, I like that it showed him as a person, and I appreciated that he didn't get over his daughter. Like, these little character beats are something that Strange New Worlds is really doing a good job with. Even if you are not the primary focus, we know what's going on with all of our main characters because they have little moments like that. Even if it is a throwaway line about trying the waffles or whatever, it's a good thing that they're doing. They're paying attention to everybody, even when they're not the focus. And that is very good writing, and that is conscious, and you can tell.
Yeah, and that's true to life, because we've all, there's always those situations where you're like, you're doing something, but then you notice, like, what's so-and-so doing back there? Oh, yeah, they like the waffles. Okay, that's good. So, yeah.
I mean, waffles are pretty great, so.
Well, yeah.
I don't know, that omelet and the bacon might have been where I was going. Like, if that omelet could make La'an stop like that. Yeah.
You know what's really fun though is actually if you put bacon in the waffle.
Ooh, yeah. I'll go one easier, not necessarily better, but easier. You got your full piece of bacon. Put that down on the griddle, and you pour your pancake mix over that.
Oh yeah, that's good too.
And then if you want to have some fun, you stick it on a stick.
And
kids like that.
The fun thing with the bacon on the pancakes is, you cook one side of the bacon, then you flip it over. so that the raw side is down and the cooked side is up, and then you pour the pancake batter on so you don't get burned bacon in your pancake.
Oh, hadn't thought of that. I've only done that with bacon that was already completely cooked, so I'll remember that.
The things you learn listening to podcasts.
Yeah, really.
Right?
We've talked about pancakes in two different contexts. I am
a fair to middling cook, but pancakes are one thing that I have serious opinions about.
Awesome.
My serious opinion being that they're amazing. Anyway.
Yeah.
Pancakes are breakfast dessert. You can't go wrong.
Yes.
No, you can't.
As for canon connections this week, I think we all probably noticed Space Station K7.
That was good.
And the goggles.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, the goggles like they had in the cage.
Yep.
And the jackets. Yes, that was very nice. I like that. So, any final thoughts about this week's episode?
I have to say, and I said this to somebody yesterday, this is probably my least favorite episode of the season so far. But the fact that I just sat here for more than an hour discussing all the parts that I liked and appreciated tells you what high quality Strange New Worlds is. Because I really do think that this is the one I'm going to rewatch least frequently, probably because I don't like all this icky, scary stuff. But I still think it's really good. So that just leaves the flavor of Strange New Worlds in my mouth, and that is good. It is a good show, and even it's not the best episodes are still better than most TV.
Yeah.
I feel the same way, although I will say I would probably rewatch this one before I would rewatch the child sacrifice one.
Oh
yeah.
And the brother and sister, that Oriana in this episode is the sister of the kid in that episode.
Yes.
They're twins.
I didn't see
Yes,
that.
the
That's cool.
actress, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were also
been on
both on The Expanse.
Expanse. Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Those are both hard ones, but neither one is a bad episode. They're
Right.
hard to watch because they get you in your feelings, which is exactly the point.
Yeah,
That's
they're
Star
hard to
Trek
watch
to a
because
T.
they're so good. That's, yeah.
Yeah, I have been absolutely in love with Strange New Worlds this whole season. Just the quality of the episodes has been fantastic. I would agree that this probably is my least favorite episode of the season so far, but that's, like saying my least favorite flavor of ice cream or my least favorite cheesecake. I mean, these are not...
Type of pancake.
Yeah, least favorite type of pancake, exactly. Like, that doesn't mean I don't still love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will say my initial reaction to this episode was more negative than it was on rewatching it a second time. I think maybe because I was prepared for it the second time.
Yes, because it's because of the death of him at the end, of Hemmer at the end. It's just like that colors everything, and then you have to go back and go like, okay, wait. There's all of this that happens before that. Yeah.
And I am very excited for next week, obviously. Although also bittersweet because I know it's the last episode for a while.
Well, it's the last episode after 48 weeks of having new Star Trek.
The end of 48 straight weeks of Star Trek.
No wonder I'm exhausted. Like, it has been just shy of a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy about that? If it wasn't for those couple overlapping episodes, it would be a year.
Yeah.
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 Which is weird. Like, it's such a weird decision for them to do. Like, they could have done an entire year of Star Trek. But anyway. And
maybe that's coming next. We have a little high summer break, right? Everybody needs a summer break, and then we're gonna get another year.
I love more Star Trek, but as someone who is on a podcast that talks about every new episode of Star Trek, I'd be okay with not having a straight year of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like, give us a couple weeks off here and there.
Yeah. That would be good. Like around exam grading time,
Well, as someone with little kids, they better not put another break in Prodigy, because let me tell you, we have watched the 10 episodes 15 billion times, and they keep nagging me. I thought you said summer. I think it's fall. I thought you said fall. I don't know yet, guys. So, yeah, as long as that's pretty soon.
We don't even know when Lower Decks season 3 is coming. I think at this point, it's safe to say it's not going to be the beginning of August like it was for the last two seasons, because they probably would have made the announcement by now. but that's all we can really say.
You'd think. I mean, yeah.
They've done 3 weeks out announcements before, though, so I don't know. Honestly, I just want it now.
Either way, we know that in 2 weeks, Chrissy and I can take a break.
Yes. Not that we don't love bringing you content, listeners, but yeah.
Oh, we do, absolutely. I mean, it's not like we're getting paid to do this. We're doing this voluntarily.
It helps us process, right?
It works out well because in 2 weeks I will be at the Shore Leave Convention in Hunt Valley, Maryland, and any listeners who happen to be in the area, if you'd like to stop by, I'll be there all weekend. You can follow me on Twitter to see what outfits I'm wearing and look me up. All right. So, Abby, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people find you online? Do you have any work that you'd like to mention?
So the best place to find me personally is on Twitter, and I'm at Abby M. Sommer. That's SOMMER. And for anyone interested who has Enterprise in their heart like I do an Enterprise Rewatch podcast with my fabulous co-host Melanie. We are just about at the end of season 1, and there's a big season 1 finale extravaganza coming up soon. So you can look for us on all the socials at First Flight Pod, and you can find that podcast on any of your usual spots to find podcasts.
I bet that season 1 finale will send shockwaves.
And this is why I love you, Thad, because you are my kind of people.
Chrissy, where can people find you when you're not hatching baby Gorn?
Oh, okay.
Which hopefully is always.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe I've got to set up like Dr. Wu in Jurassic Park. You know, maybe I've got to. I'm doing it scientifically as opposed to involuntarily.
Incubating them yourself?
Yes. Right. Well, in addition to here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Zalagis twice a week here on BQN, a short history podcast that I do with my fellow historian partner, Jason. I have to say that the one that we have scheduled to drop with the episode the same day as this is going to be a bit of fun, a little less serious. We've had some heavy stuff the last couple of weeks for good reason, but we're doing something fun for the 4th of July, even though it's the day after the 4th. So I'm also happy to chat about our shows on the BQN Collective on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter at the Goddess Livia. That's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. Thad, where can people find you when you're not cooking pancakes for Captain Pike?
I mean, if he wants pancakes, I will absolutely make them for him.
Oh, yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at Tyrannicus. That's Tyranicus. You can also follow me on the podcast I do with my friend Carl called License to Spiel. That's license spelled with a C, like the British do it, where we talk about the James Bond films. I don't know why I was about to say a third thing, because there really isn't another place you can find me.
That's okay. That's okay. I was like, what else is he going to say here? All right. And listeners, don't forget all of our other great shows here on the BQN Collective, like Galaxy Class, All Good Things, Mickey's Marvels, Union Federation, and History with the Zalagis. And if you are one of our Patreon members, you get the special series It's Green with Mark White, which is just this wonderful collection of kind of random stuff, and it's so much fun. And then Amy's Math Moments, which have been informative for someone who's not like really math-minded. I'm appreciating them. So you will too.
Previously on BQN. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast.
I think that's kind of the flaw of his genetic manipulation, is I have to defeat my enemy. And in his mind, just like Moby Dick, the enemy is Captain Kirk, so he kind of blows his chance. In fact, in some ways, that maybe saves the galaxy, because it kind of taken off, and I got Reliant, I got Genesis, I'm out of here. Who knows what he could have gone and done.
Galaxy Class, a Star Trek The Next Generation podcast.
I think for cosplay, for me, a good way to put it is low effort, maximum impact, and you want to get that balance. Yeah, you don't want to put in thousands of hours of effort for it to look alright. So I put in little bits of effort and usually get a good result out of it.
Mickey's Marvels, a Disney podcast.
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers otherwise feels like something that they would just reboot into a modern day cartoon like they've done with DuckTales. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did with like Darkwing Duck or Tailspin or any of those.
You will find these and more of your favorite podcasts on BQN.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Tony Robinson for the awesome show art. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player, and don't forget to rate and review us there as well.
And if you'd like to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at BQN Podcasts and our show specifically at Idic Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the BQN podcasts in the aforementioned Facebook group, the BQN Collective. On our next episode, we will be talking about the Season 1 finale of Strange New Worlds, A Quality of Mercy. And we don't know after that because Paramount has not said what they're doing after that, but we will be here for it, listeners, I assure you. Until then, we wish you peace and long life.
The part I always remember from that book was how Pa had gotten trapped in the blizzard and had survived by eating Christmas candy while buried in the snow.
That is in
Plum Creek.
On the banks of Plum Creek. But yeah.
You're right. That was... Oh, sorry. I was just... Different blizzard. You're right. I do remember that. You're right.
We are so dating ourselves right here.
Oh, yeah. No, Long Winter was the one...
Where they eat the wheat from the walls.
Yeah, I was about to say, Long Winter is the one where Almanzo hid the wheat in the walls.
Yes!
So Pa just, like, walked into the store and pulled out the plug and just filled his pail. He's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can have some of that. I plan on marrying your daughter later, but...
Man, those are some really good books. It's a shame that they're also super problematic.
Yeah. If you get into the background of it and how much her daughter, who was a libertarian nutcase, was involved...
Yeah, her daughter would have been full-blown MAGA if she were alive today. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which is, yeah. So, yes, to get away from that, I would highly recommend, if you want to read a piece of very well-written history that is also kind of, if you'll forgive the phrase, it's not meant as a pun, but chilling. The Children's Blizzard by David Laskin is really good. And has absolutely nothing to do with this except it was cold.
And just a reminder that it is never okay for people to take other people's land.
Tune in next week between the episodes of Star Trek series, because we don't know what's up next, for Random Children's Literature Podcast. Okay.
Oh yeah, what children's books are we going to talk about next week? Oh jeez.
Pippi Longstocking for the win.
I can't wait to see how it ties into Make Way for Ducklings.
Ferdinand the Bull.
Well, I mean, Hemmer is really Ferdinand the Bull, because pacifism.
There you go. And, well, antenna, but horns.
And antenna, yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of references there. That works.
And I mean, this is horror, so we could just get into Goosebumps all over the place. And...
Oh man, I loved Goosebumps.